Check. Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Sorry about all that scratching.
Yeah. So I was trying to play that performance story, and I think the audio is completely gone.
Maybe we'll have to look at that later.
Something.
Yes, you're being meta though.
Yeah, that's meta, exactly. We're back in the afternoon break, Wednesday afternoon.
Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday. Oh.
What?
It was Monday. Monday was the song.
Well, the original was Wednesday.
It's not Wednesday.
It's halfway through
there's
the
also
week.
You can kiss me on a Monday.
I heard the original demo.
Yes.
It was originally Wednesday.
Was it originally
halfway through the week?
That's not
Three more days.
I don't
to
think that's right.
work. I'm feeling rather weak.
That's enough.
And then on Wednesday,
I'm gonna mute your mic, Brian. We're in the third day.
Can you tell we're in the third day by our banter?
How was the popcorn? I'm going to go get some Let's go get some popcorn.
We're going to get some popcorn?
Yeah.
I had some popcorn already.
No, come get some more.
Yeah, well, I don't want to eat anymore.
Yes. Yummy popcorn. Hi, thank you. Popcorn.
Hello.
Where's this popcorn from?
Right there.
Right here.
It's from right there.
Yelena made it.
You made the thank you.
Thank you.
Smells fresh.
Delicious popcorn.
Thank you. That's awesome. We're in the Wednesday afternoon break, live broadcasting from Perform Dynatrace 2018 in Livery Stable, Las Vegas.
Or I was going to say Lunkhead, Las Vegas.
Lung cancer, Las Vegas. That's actually probably appropriate.
Actually, yes, very appropriate. It's funny because it brings you back, doesn't it?
I'm so not used to being
when
around
stuff
smoking.
And one thing I remember.
Europe, they probably still have a lot of smoke.
No, a lot of places they don't, though.
They don't?
At least not in Italy, outdoors, but not inside. But I remember.
Not indoors, but indoors, yeah.
I remember back in my younger days when I was playing in bands, and we'd go play shows, and you'd get home at like 3:30 in the morning because you'd always be playing last, or then you have to pack up and then unload everything. And you'd get home, and you just reeked of smoke, and you're like, I'm really tired, I really want to go to sleep, but I really want to take a shower.
Yeah.
And then the smoking bans went into effect, and it'd be like, get home and be like, oh, I'm going to sleep. It was wonderful. Quite wonderful.
You're saving a lot of time.
Yes.
And water.
And my eyes didn't have to hurt anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Can
you imagine if you were allergic?
The small clubs?
Allergic to smoke in a small club?
Anyhow.
All right, so we're going to endeavor to capture just a few more performance stories.
Yes.
There's a chance we have a story from Wasm, which was about the inside the firewall, outside the firewall ISP.
Right, that was a great story.
It was a great story. We may not have it because, I don't know, some technical difficulty. But
we'll have to see.
One thing I wanted to ask you about him, because they're a big Dynatrace shop. At the time, they were using Appmon.
Right.
And they turned on UAM, which is very similar to your puzzler. They turned on RUM.
Right.
But they turned on UAM. Wouldn't they have seen... Did UAM tell them the difference between the UAM would happen wherever those local customers versus remote customers? Why didn't UAM just instantly say, yes, of course, it's the ISP, have a nice day?
Well, UAM doesn't know it's the ISP, right?
You wouldn't see it in the transaction flow that there's a component like you don't see routing?
No,
Isn't there infrastructure? No. I just don't know. I don't have UAM. I'm not a
now,
UAM
in
guy.
Dynatrace, you can add infrastructure. If there's an IP picked up, or if there's something you can insert it there, but it's still not going to necessarily... I don't recall if it's going to be able to give time to it because it's not doing measurements, but you can, in the service flows, I know at the very minimum, and I know any of my colleagues listening is like, Brian, don't you know the tool?
Right.
It's not stuff I do on a regular basis, but I have to go back and look. But I know you can insert infrastructure like that your routers, all that into the service flow view so that you know what's in between there.
So
that
you
when
have
you
a
see a
gateway
delay
or,
between
the firewall
two
interface,
tiers
yeah.
and you know that there's a thing, they're like, oh,
Okay.
maybe it's that. I'll go check that because I know it's there now.
And you could see that segment maybe between some external components that you just know that the IPs are out there.
The other really cool thing you can do, though, let's say you have an F5. Right? Everyone's got an F5, right?
Yeah.
You have an F5. You put your F5 in there, and you have it on the diagram. What you can also do, we were talking about API this morning, right?
Right.
You can also pull the metrics from your F5 into Dynatrace and assign it to that node. So now you're getting your F5 metrics into Dynatrace. And
because it's all tagged.
Yeah,
You just would
it's all
tag it
tagged.
right onto that node.
And you can just insert there. You're going to have whatever metrics your F5 exposes.
Yeah.
You can pull into Dynatrace and see what's going on right there, too.
like that.
So anyway, little.
But in his story, he had
In his story,
some
he would have
particular-
seen
like an ISP issue of some kind, which I'm thinking could be like
But he said it was only the
latency
users
between
in
two
Saudi
telecom
Arabia,
routers.
wasn't it?
Saudi Arabia, yeah.
It wasn't the extra. It was the local ISP.
It was a local
Saudi
ISP
Arabia
in Saudi
ISP.
Arabia, but then there were people all over the world.
But they were fine, right? Because there weren't there synthetics running from an exterior node that wasn't having an issue or some kind of proxy.
From an exterior node.
They had the internal users were fine. So UEM was telling them transactions are slow.
Right.
It's all these people in this location, and if they actually had bandwidth calculation turned on, which is an Atmon,
Ooh.
it would say, yeah, your bandwidth
There's
is like a
something
dial-up.
limited on
It
that
looks
segment,
like you
yeah.
got a 56K connection here, right?
They were running their international banking customers on a 56K modem.
Yeah.
Andrew was just here. He didn't want to get on the mic, though.
Yeah, do you want to get on the mic?
You got to hang around if you want to get on the mic, brother. You sure?
Sure.
You guys don't want me on the mic.
Really? Oh, you'll just start talking. That is what you do on the mic. I don't know if you know that. Thank you very much for moderating my session.
Thanks for your help.
And you kept me, dude, right on time.
It was excellent. Thank you.
Spot on.
I ran the...
He was my moderator for my session.
Well, we're live, so you don't get to talk to us
You're
without
live
being
on the
mic.
internet right now. Yeah, great.
Because people need to hear these
Cool.
things, right? Anyway,
So that was a good performance story.
it was, and it's another one
and
of those
then I've
interesting
had-
ones because I just wanted to point out, so when people get to hear it, one of the typical types of performance stories you don't hear about, because usually it's, we found this crazy issue that was isolated here. This was, they found it by eliminating everything else, which helped them figure
All
out
of the things that they could
it was
see
something
were green.
outside of their control,
It was-
and
yep.
there was one thing left,
Process of elimination.
and that was their story. So,
So
it was a pretty
Wassam's
cool
story was your ISP sucks, and UAM helped you prove that, yep, it's got to be out there
Right.
somewhere.
Exactly.
And of course, they could use the new plugin browser thing, but that's why I asked. This is a commercial banking site, all there. So not a SaaS solution.
Well, they wouldn't even have to use the
They wouldn't
browser
need the
plugin.
plug-
They could just use Rum.
Standard
The
RUM.
same thing, right? Same bits of it.
Very,
and in
very
fact, the cool thing would be in Dynatrace now would be instead of them looking at the dashboards and seeing their slowness, problem patterns would automatically detect there's a degradation for your users in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Actually, you'd ask Davis.
Yeah.
Davis, what's up in Saudi Arabia? Well, I'm noticing some bottlenecks on the network in front of the component XYZ
Right.
gateway. And sure enough,
And they all
you
use-
want me to call? You want me to auto dial the ISP support number for you?
Right, because we also can pick up the ISPs. So
Sure. I think
You would
that's
see
pretty
that.
cool.
It's-
That's
yeah.
pretty- And now you could put it rendered in augmented reality as the globe in front of you in your VR goggles.
And in fact, what you would see in that area would be instead of all these high-speed connections, you would see an animation of a hand putting a phone in a cradle for a dial-up kind of a connection.
And play that modem pickup sound.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes.
Yep. Wasn't it?
It's what's sad? There's going to be so many people in this world as we age who
We'll never hear that again.
never know what that is. Although it'll probably be some kind of, growing up, there was like all these things from the 60s. Groovy Man is probably some far removed bastardization of what was really going on in those time periods and all. But we have these nostalgic things that come back up into our pop culture.
What?
I am sure the modem sound will come back in pop culture. I'm sure there's probably some kind of really crummy podcast or two that uses it
at the
in
beginning
its
of the
intro
Peer
music.
Performance intro music.
Exactly.
No, I think when we go darknet and we have to kind of go back off of the spy-driven, governmental-dominated real internet,
Right.
which will let's say 20 years from now, the current internet will be like CompuServe. No one will be on it. It'll be so laden with crap and slow and awful that it'll be like, forget it. Like, why would I ever go on the real internet? I get on my
go on the alternate
neighborhood alternate, darknet, neighborhood net. So there's
right.
So I have this. I'm getting
Connect?
into this Unify Ubiquity networking stuff.
Yes, I've seen some.
And
of
they
that.
have a whole bunch of the devices. You can set up like just a local in your neighborhood setup, and then you got to follow the FCC rules, of course.
Right.
But you can, because you're broadcasting, signal strengths and stuff. But Ubiquity helps you manage that, and you can set up like in your neighborhood with your local separate network.
But you can't get onto the regular internet from there. Or if you do, then you're just feeding
But let's say
it.
you had a bartering system.
Right, but the only issue with that is you're
volunteering.
Depending on your neighbors
need
keeping
a
the device
babysitter.
up. Right, and that's the weakness of those, is that the neighbors, we need someone else to run a second pipeline and go back to the internet of 1993. We're going to go back to Pine Mail.
And 56K modems.
And web crawler. Yeah. Well, we'll do
Metacrawler,
it high speed.
man. Metacrawler was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
the good old days.
Yeah, here we were talking about the innovative Dynatrace things.
It's the ISP
like
thing in the 56K
AI.
that
What
brought
is
us back.
AI ops? I saw that on the screen this morning. What's your take? Are you heard anything more about it? Because what Klaus was mentioning this thing, right?
He was, and I was, I'll just be straight up honest. I was only half tuned in on it this morning.
So it's not no ops. There always is ops, but why not make it AI ops?
Well, I think part of it is, and I don't know if this is what they were announcing today, because we've announced it also in some blog posts earlier.
Yeah.
And I think I brought it up yesterday. The idea of having your AI be able to feed into automating remediation, right? Also using it to automatically detect new dependencies. Normally you spin up a new service, whatever, suddenly all the dependencies are met, but that's kind of standard, right? As soon as you put in a new thing, Dynatrace is going to learn all that. That's going to become part of the AI.
Right.
So that's kind of, in a way, AI ops, because you're discovering all your dependencies of your networks, everything else. But, to me, if you say AI ops, that gets me thinking, as you said before, no ops, which gets me thinking, as we say, certain conditions are met. The AI is going to detect a problem. It's going to know the root cause, and there's going to be some new rules that you put into it and say, if root cause X, Y, Z,
switch,
and that's, I
roll
think,
forward,
part of
roll
the
back.
Ansible Tower, throw some new things in, do whatever.
Sort of intelligent elasticity, not just sort of dumb elasticity.
Yeah. Or even, like you were saying, the switch.
Yeah.
There was, I never remember who we talked to, but they have feature flags they were talking about.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
Toggles.
blue-green deployments, but, feature flags, toggles to turn on and off. So it could be, all right, let's turn on the toggle. We're going to go ahead and throw the switch. And based on performance metrics, it can, you can maybe have it automatically turn off that switch if it's not working without you having to even make that decision.
Yep.
Like, turn
you know
it
what
on,
I'm finding
it's terrible.
testing in or operating in a compliance and regulated type environment, a lot of times you don't have the ability to sort of at will turn on, turn off. Because it might be starting on date X, all of these transactions must capture, for regulation purposes, this new field. Right. And so once you cross that line, you're really going, you can't turn it off. Because now the price we pay when you turn something off like that is there's an incident, and it's fully quantified by how many records were out of compliance, and then you have to design a backfill. And in some cases, it's a list of, let's say it's, in my case, 400 customers that for that time period. You have to reach out to them with an email. We're sorry about X, Y, and Z. We would like to do some remediation on your account for compliance purposes, but it requires us to obtain your approval for X, Y, and Z. It could be I'm just describing a fictitious, very costly remediation to backfill those records.
Right.
So I have a heart for people in more compliance and regulated environments that don't have all this fun, free, I
people
can just
who aren't
flip
working in
stuff
the
on and
Facebooks,
off.
right? Where they have 10,000 servers. Like, we'll put it on 3, we'll roll it out.
Right.
But let me ask you, in a lot of, since you work in the much more compliance and regulated area, let's say there's a new regulation you have to comply with by next Friday.
Right.
Could you theoretically, in most situations, tell me what part of the situation, how many you could do this in, have it ready by today, turn it on where you don't need this information yet, work out issues, turn on and off, and that gives you a week in production, collecting the data you don't need to submit yet. This way you can go back and tweak and fix and have it ready by the time.
So,
I mean, sometimes it might be you can't see that data by regulation until they say you can see the data. So I'd understand
Agreed.
that.
So you could have call it a beta period, call it a trial. It's deployed in a default off toggle. So I think the mechanisms are absolutely easy to use. It's just understanding in certain situations, just because you can turn a feature toggle on, in certain situations you may not really be elegantly able automatically with AI. You would tell AI, once this is on, you can't turn it off, and then that's a different condition. That's a different state for the AI engine to figure out, right?
Right, and this brings up a different future thought. Future thinking. Future thought. In the year
future
2000.
with Brian Wilson.
So AI, machine, whatever you want to call it all.
Yes.
Based on regulatory verticals, whatever. So maybe you have a more banking-tuned AI, which operates and has a lot of fundamental differences in it.
Yes.
Based on the fact that there's regulations and some of that stuff can be fed in even.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
You have your general Facebook-y type of fun site, which has almost no regulation. But where you can build this, you can build a lot of these rules. You can
context-driven AI basics.
And it would be you would have teams working on AI that's more specific to banks.
I think you could call that, let's say, an intentional bias.
Yes.
I'm going to take my machine learning algorithm. I'm going to tell it what things are more dangerous than others, and it would be different in different contexts.
Right.
So context-driven AI...
But there would be commonality amongst the banking industry.
Exactly.
So they might think about it and get it. It might be a different branch of...
Right. Now, you could also figure out how to deploy very strict rules engines within the AI. This is something that you would do in other threshold-based things. That we're relying too much, I think, though, on human beings to know all of the hundreds, if not thousands, of compliance and regulation in that. And there's also... not to mention, there's many different ways to become compliant.
Right.
In terms of process, in terms of where the data lives and how you regulate that information as it flows and changes. So some people are like, this section of our application is absolutely quote-unquote not compliant, but that's because we've made the case that once it gets into our monolithic old back database, that's where our system of record is stored, and that's where we enforce compliance.
Right.
Whereas other people say, well, we don't really have that monolithic database. It's kind of messaging spread out everywhere. Then if I were a regulator, if I were an inspector, I'd be like, you know what? You guys are really storing this data out in the system. You need to count those areas now as where you're going to wave the flag and say, I am compliant because I did X.
Mm-hmm.
So the AI engine would have to adapt depending on how you made an argument that you were compliant because you implemented X way. That's the subtlety of really, really, really difficult stuff.
I've got another
really difficult compliant regulation.
I've got another future thought here too.
Yes.
As you were talking,
the future.
So
feature.
We've seen recently. I think it was in the last 12 months or less. There was a government conference where a lot of government IT was showing off the new way they're doing things. Right? They're actually, most people think government is old monolithic. Everything's running on tape drives, but there's a lot of innovation that a lot of government teams are picking up. Right? They're starting to do. Containers are starting to do these things, right? So we can say most people would think government's probably really backwards in their IT, but we know there's a lot of parts of government that are not backwards in their IT.
Yeah.
So what if then as well, with these regulations, there were a regulation API that
nice.
You can then interface to say X, Y, and Z happened, ping the API, comes back saying,
the latest.
According to regulation, blah, 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 this has to be in compliance this way, comes back, feeds, and helps direct a remediation.
So you could have a
you automate the remediation recommendation
store of regulations.
Yeah,
and the
that
checks.
You could feed.
So you would subscribe.
Conditions.
My system subscribes to the following publicly shared regulations from the regulation body. Let's say it's the FDIC or the HIPAA compliance. There's somewhere that organizational enforcement body says these are the rule sets. Let's say you're using vendor X. Here's rules for you. Vendor Y, rules for you. The consortium or a public consortium coming together, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it could even be like if you had an issue, or let's say you had a problem arise in your system, they could take the characteristics of those problems, And again, I don't know how this would exactly be possible, but feed that to the API.
Yeah.
The API can say, based on the X, Y, and Z, you're out of compliance on this piece. You have to remediate over here.
Right.
Again, this is future.
I like it.
Hi, James.
Did you have a nice chat?
Hi, guys.
You guys drilled down a little more.
Yes.
There.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
good.
Yeah, Matt and I drilled down a little bit more, particularly in the challenge of the Angular JS thing.
It is.
I suggested...
I talked to Paul Grassafi, who hates coding against Angular JS.
Yeah. I suggested that cake at the results presentation, and when you have an Angular JS app, you order the cake in advance, and you take the picture of the app and you put it on top of the cake in the frosting.
Yes.
And it's a 3-layer cake, so the top 6.5 inches are angel food. That represents the GUI. And then you have a chocolate cookie crust,
Yes.
which represents HTTP.
Yes.
And then you have something deep, dark, rum-soaked, fruit included, which represents sockets in this model.
Yes.
And then so you bring everyone in for the results. You cut them a piece of cake, and they're looking really oddly at this disproportionate cake. And you're like, oh, well, I'm testing from the cookie crust layer on down because the server doesn't care about what's in this fluffy angel food cake layer.
Yeah.
It just knows I have a request and response pair.
The simplest way I think I've heard you describe it is in that old adage, if it doesn't scale for one, it won't scale for many.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So, which means, do I need to include all my single user, single session layers of the architecture if I really need to test the scalability of the shared layers, of the multi-session layers of the architecture?
No.
So you're saying, look, you should definitely test the performance of the end web browser. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the traditional. If you roll back a few years, GUI virtual user for 5 or 10 users, and then the majority of the time under load, and then you could get login _ GUI minus login _ HTTP. It's like, oh, okay, that's the weight of my client type
Get on
of
the
thing.
mic there.
Okay, I'm on the mic there.
But I think to your point, there are some web app architecture still running in a browser that do not just make a call to a web service, where you could just test the web service. And that's the line of from single session to multi-session, and that's nice and clean. REST API, SOAP API.
Yep.
The tool.
Yep.
You don't have the weird GUI correlation stuff.
Yep.
So there are still people, even with Angular JS, that have multiple asynchronous components all making concurrent web service calls at the same time, and that's what he was saying in the recording. It's like, clean up your GUIs, guys. Have a discrete presentation layer in the client and just call some web services.
Set a budget. Set a maximum budget on a representative piece of hardware that the GUI action shall take no longer than X amount of time.
And then just measure it for one user. Do it during your functional test automation. Measure it.
And if you never answer that question, you are always going to be unsatisfied when you get to the multi-user performance testing, because you have no basis of understanding, well, did it work before?
Yeah.
Essentially, you were absent data that it said that it worked or didn't work.
Very good.
It may take 45 seconds for one user, and then you report it takes 40 for a whole lot of others. It's like, well, that's broken.
Yes. What's X matters?
I don't know.
That looks cool. Slack, bots, Dynatrace. Is that the matters most people? X matters?
I don't know.
I don't know. Should we go talk to him?
Connect your tools with actionable communications.
I like it. X matters. There's another one. Ops Genie is here. Sauce Labs
They're giving
is
out
here.
sauce.
Are you out of hot sauce?
I know.
They
At
usually
Test
have the
Bash, we
bottles.
got so much hot sauce. It's beyond. It's like beyond me. They still have a bunch sitting over there, which is pretty awesome. This is our afternoon session. We think maybe all of that talking with Wassam about the inside the ISP, outside the...
Yeah.
We think it didn't actually record. So we just sort of gave kind of a shortcut version of that. Yeah, see? Being meta. But I think people will be interested to hear it. Did you remember anything? What struck you about his story? Do you remember anything?
It was really more negative testing than anything else. That is, I'm eliminating...
That's what
all
Brian
of the
was mentioning.
conditions that would normally be problematic. And he walked right around the stack. He said, we started CPU, it wasn't that. We started memory, it wasn't that. A disk, it wasn't that. And then I piped in and said, oh, well, must be network.
Yeah.
Well, it was to a degree. His data center ISP was not providing the full clean pipe and bandwidth.
We think he was on a 56K modem.
And very 56K dial-up.
Yep.
And very likely he didn't have any sort of monitoring tools on the throughput of that interface that were independent of anything else. They had application monitoring tools, but the least cost routing on their what they thought was going out and coming back into their data center actually was just bouncing back through a proxy and coming back on the same third-party link because MPLS, that's the least cost route in order to get there. So I totally understand what happened there, but their monitoring agents out in Europe and elsewhere in the world were absolutely telling them something was wrong.
Yeah.
I think they could benefit from a performance-based network monitoring solution.
He was saying synthetics. In Dynatrace you can put components, if you know them out on the route, you could put your F5 out on the route.
You can
put a gateway, like even if you don't own the gateway, you can put it on the map.
And you got the API, any metrics that it's exposing, you could pull in as well. And I thought in the story they were saying in Europe and elsewhere it was fine. It was only Saudi Arabia where the problem was. It was the ISP in Saudi Arabia that had an issue.
So they were seeing the problem in Europe. So they were seeing the problem with actual clients, including their synthetic agents.
I thought it was the Saudi Arabia
in Europe.
Okay.
But inside of their data center in Saudi Arabia, they didn't see it. Their synthetic agents, which were based in their data center but supposedly going out through a proxy through a third party, were just simply routing back along the same line. So it was never really going out and hitting their inbound ISP provider.
Well, that's why you're so even going to something as simple as synthetic agent testing, right? If you're running, the original advanced synthetics, aka Gomez, aka Keynote, which are now
well, how do you decouple a network flow from the app flow in that case?
A network flow from the outflow in that case.
Because for a synthetic user, you actually have to test the app. In this case, it was a network transit problem.
Well, how would that? They would have seen it. Well, they saw it with UEM already, but they would have also confirmed if their synthetic was outside, which is where these synthetics run.
Yeah. So on a purely control basis, they can say, it looks like it's the network, but I call up my ISP, and my ISP says, oh, no, it is your application. Your application is at fault.
ISPs have funny accents.
Yeah. So...
No, but you would see. No, you would know
exactly.
If you're running a synthetic test from the outside and collecting the application data. So if you're running a synthetic test with Dynatrace on the inside, you have the exact length of time it takes to execute. On your application stack, which would be 300 milliseconds. You would see that it's taking 15 seconds on your browser, and you would also see time to first byte being 10 seconds. So you would know 300 milliseconds from my web server or whatever on down.
Of elimination.
You'd still know it's on your network segment.
You could.
You would.
Okay, you would by virtue of control elements.
Right.
You've nailed it to the network. What I'm suggesting is that there are many people who will refuse to accept that because you do not have a clean network sample. You do not have a trace route which shows the number of milliseconds involved from hop to hop to hop that's showing that as an example.
Well, that's where but the idea, and Mark, I see your hand is raised. The idea, though, is once you identify that it's your network, that's when you go in deeper.
Go and do those.
That's when you go in deeper because you need to first know where do we concentrate our efforts.
Mr. Tomlinson.
Mark, you in the corner.
LoadRunner 702.
Yes.
I remember 702. Such a weird major release.
702.
Yes.
HTTP ping. You could have HTTP trace routing. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it would do trace routes and figure out the segments and then monitor those segments for you during the load test.
Yeah.
And then, for some reason, it went away. Now, probably in intellectual property could be an issue, licensing. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it went away. And to me, HTTP ping.
And you know what? As much as LoadRunner...
No, you don't need to wax philosophical.
I just want to lament.
We're going back to Joe
Hoffman's. I want to lament LoadRunner for a moment because I was a LoadRunner. I used LoadRunner.
You were a LoadRunner?
I was a LoadRunner.
You are a runner of the loads.
I was collecting all the gold and digging the trenches for people to fall into.
It's a BMW product. It's a highly engineered product for highly engineered use.
But it had so many different protocols of things that testing that you would probably hardly ever use, but every once in a while you'd be like, oh, you need to use this one weird protocol, and they always had it.
Yeah.
And then you need, I got to figure out how to do this weird function. Let me take a look at the function library because I had such a history. Oh, they have a function for it.
They have some weird function for
and it was just like, I mean, again, a lot of other things I could say to complain about it, but man, it just, when the chips were down, you could count on it.
Yep. And the world may move forward. I don't think it's necessarily moved backwards because if you're living in a C shop in a Windows world, you could still do some serious damage. I would go back to that. I would go back to Load Runner Heartbeat if I were in those environments.
Can you do that kind of stuff? You can't do that kind of stuff with JMeter, can you? Can you? I don't know.
You have to bring all these other open source pieces together. JMeter doesn't give you that kind of stuff. Right. And it also favors, since it's mostly used by developers, that you want that function, write it yourself.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you didn't. What are you paying for? And then you go into business, and it's the open source model, right?
I'm going to pour a little out. I'm going to pour a little out for Load Runner.
Yeah, exactly. They give you the power of extensibility, but they don't do the extending for you.
Yeah.
And remember, when you write it and extend it, you are required to give it back to the open source community, or Richard Stallman will come to your house.
That's right.
And do something foul.
No, it's that. We don't know that for certain. Yeah, I think he would probably just. A lot of people on the forums would be very angry with you.
He would say mean things at you.
But to be honest, the foundation would write you a letter, and you'd be warned, and then there would be legal proceedings probably at that point. As you don't contribute back, if you're found not to, because they'll pull your ability to use open source in your product through consortium, then you'll end up with a class action lawsuit.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's more than one way to
ask Linksys how that worked out for them.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we're not legal experts, and we just want to advise everyone on the podcast that you should not consider any of our words formal legal advice, and consult with a proper attorney who's licensed in your area to give you proper advice.
Attorney James Pulley.
Not named James Pulley, yeah. And we don't really know Richard
someone who has actually passed the bar
exam.
That's right. All right,
James
so we're in afternoon of Wednesday, and I have the strange feeling that this place is going to start to be torn down.
Well, it's the closing sessions now, and
it is the closing sessions now. But I don't see the live stream.
Back in the main room. I don't see the live stream, but they're back on main stage.
So maybe we tune into the live stream.
Maybe they're having some issues, but yeah, they're back. It's back on the main stage. Maybe these are still considered non-live stream because it's still customer stories.
Could be
on the main stage.
Yeah,
but this is going till 5, the next big session, and then 5 to 6:30 is a break. And then we pick back up at the Brooklyn Bowl for a party.
I don't think. Do they come in here and break?
I don't think so. I think we're going to start seeing all this stuff. Do we
want to do our giveaway?
Yes.
Should we do our giveaway?
Yes.
Because we just have to. I can do a rundown of at least the stories I know, and you guys can tell me if I missed any of the stories. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. The first one was Aparo, and he talks about having a load test situation where he's monitoring a system that all of a sudden went from, let's say, 700 milliseconds of load time down to something, or like several seconds of load time down to, like, it looks like it got really fast. Like it went down to like 60 milliseconds. Like everything's been running great, and then all of a sudden all the metrics showed that the response time got really, really, really fast. And it turned out to be something weird being monitored.
Some sort of like attack.
But it was only loading a 1 by 1 pixel by 1 pixel GIF that skewed all of the metrics.
And it wasn't enough for their security to pick up on.
Like DDoS. But it was enough to throw the mathematics off.
And they ended up finding that this heavy traffic was occurring because the response time dropped.
Right. So where's this traffic coming from, but things look really, really, really fast? Like if you've ever done a load test where you're expecting the application under test to only give you 1 second response time, and all of a sudden the test tool, which maybe has no think time or any pacing in it, all of a sudden you start getting 404s and the transactions per second go like through the roof. Because
and
it's
the
just
transaction
spinning.
Response time, if you're not
goes
checking
really,
for response,
really low.
Goes really, really fast.
Yeah.
500s come back really fast.
Really fast.
Well, I've had one where we were testing search way back There was a 3-tier search. I think it was Endeca in the middle or something else. I forget what the whole setup was.
Yeah.
Years and years ago. We're testing against the front end. There's a middle layer, and then there's the back end search database.
Right.
Search database was returning no results to the middle layer. The middle layer was packaging that up nicely and saying, we're sorry, there are no results. And the results were coming back, 20 milliseconds, because that back end was down. And the middle layer was like, I got an error, so I'm going to say there are no results. So it was that nice way of handling it, which threw off.
All right, so we got Aparos giving the 1x1 GIF. Brian Rumsfeld gave us using Dynatrace to compare moving with load testing, right? So he did a load testing before to prep and move.
Yep.
So that was using Dynatrace, bringing Dynatrace in and to do a comparison, but unfortunately they didn't buy Dynatrace after that. It was very upsetting.
Yeah. They acquired all the value and then refused to recognize the value.
Yeah, so that's just kind of a sad story. Joe Hoffman told a story about in WebLogic, where WebLogic had implemented sort of a self-healing, changing the configuration of WebLogic, maybe auto-restarting it so that it could run in a more healthy way, and the customer had shut them down. Right. Because do not get your hands off my server. Get out of my. I don't want your agent running in my thing. Right?
They were prying our cold dead hands off of their.
Yeah, so they vehemently opposed as a customer to this. And you go down the road, 2-3 years later, he talks about coming back and talking with them. And sure enough, the new people he's talking to are like, wait, you can automatically adjust and restart for us?
Of course we want that.
Oh my God, where you been all my life?
Why would we want to spend all of our hours just doing that manual adjustment and restarting?
I don't know. Exactly. So times his point being times change, and sometimes you're just way ahead of your time.
Yeah.
Right. Harish, I don't remember Harish. What was he the guy who had been a load tester for 20 years and then wanted to meet me and then told a story?
I believe so.
Standing right here.
Yes, I do believe.
But I don't remember what his story was. It's probably on the air. Nope. Gonna have to go back and listen to that.
Okay.
Do you remember it?
No.
Now I'm feeling bad. We have to remember his... Or maybe that wasn't... No, that was Aparo. Well, he was saying the 1x1 GIF. That was the guy that was standing right there.
Right.
Harish is a different guy. But again, I don't remember his story. I didn't write a thing down there. Jeff Leonard shared a story about the slow middle tier app that ends up being in the middle tier.
All on the queue side.
And making calls into the ESB, but it wasn't the ESB.
It was all about the producer side of the queues, not the consumer side.
Producer bottleneck in that. And then the one we just potentially missed from Wassam, which was your ISP sucks, turn on UEM, and then call the ISP and tell them they suck.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's the shortest way I can abbreviate that story.
Yeah.
Now, were there any other stories that you guys remember that I don't have on the list here?
No, I think that covers.
Is there anyone else you want to nominate? Is there any one that stands out most for you? James, what are you thinking? Should I turn on the Jeopardy themes music there?
I always like a good Q story, so I'm going to be biased towards Jeff Leonard.
Leonard?
In this case.
And it was a weird one.
It was a weird one.
Yep.
It was, leave it to Jeff to come up with a weird one. But it was a weird one.
Agreed. All right.
So I'm showing my cognitive biases in performance engineering.
All right.
In this case, which is a Whopper topic this year.
That's cognitive biases in performance engineering.
Yeah.
Brian, do you have a favorite out of the list there? We might have to arm wrestle for it.
I myself am a little...
Be a simple majority is going to win.
I'm a little particular to the non-traditional stories where we were going to look for the problem and we found it by not finding it. So I'm leaning towards Wassam a little bit.
He did have a good story.
It was one of those stories. It's most performance issue stories are about
we found
a problem with the code. There was a queuing issue. There was this issue. We looked. Everything on our side was absolutely fine. Everything on our side was fine, and it turned out
you still have to be smart enough to second guess and eliminate stuff.
Yeah, and then having the data to go to that third party and say it was you. Stop saying it's not, and we can prove it.
Put together a cogent argument.
And then when they finally go, yeah, I guess it is me. That's when you're in a situation like that, when you can tell that other vendor, it is you and here's why, and they go, we can't argue with you. You're right. It's us.
Kind of
That's
torn.
kind of a. But again, I'm not super. There's a lot of good stories, but that's just the one that struck me.
Yeah. I like Jeff's. Now we can always come up with other giveaways that we want to maybe come in for second because runner up.
Popcorn.
No, a pair of Perf Bite shoes.
Yeah,
that's always on the list if we want to do that. The supreme prize will be the Dynatrace UFO and Amazon Echo. I actually kind of want to vote for Aparo's 1X GIF, 1x1X GIF Pixel.
Okay, so
he had all the right tools again, and all of the metrics are being gathered and everything, and he still had to do. It's very similar to Wasam's, though. It's like you have all the right tools and all the right monitoring. You still have to do extra work.
Okay,
and it was a puzzle.
So we're down to 3.
We had down to 3.
So now we need
who's in
to
the first
settle
place
on a first and a first
place.
up.
Yeah, the gold, silver, bronze.
Well,
and
considering
this
I am
year's
part of the vendor, I think it would be better for you two to pick.
No,
There's no,
it doesn't matter. We don't do
bias.
that. No. Usually we have my wife do this. So
and Miss 2018 Perf Bites Award is.
Now
we.
Who do you think should get the gold?
Well, he's going to say Jeff.
We both talked about Wasam.
I think Wasam's in the lead.
I think so because we all kind of have
and he got
an
us
affinity.
talking.
Got us talking.
He got us talking more than.
You know what? Let's go with him.
All right, Wasam's going to be our lead. He's going to be the winner, the top winner of this for the ISP Sucks story. The only problem I have is that none of our listeners can actually hear him say it potentially.
We have to still go back.
I have to go back and see if the MP3 got whacked.
But if they can't hear it, then it's going to be one of those.
We'll just invite him to an episode. He'll come up.
Oh.
Yeah,
we can just invite him to come and get on. It's not too late. We could go find him somewhere, or we'll find him online and put it on the Twitterverse. All right, all right. Who's now? Now the toss up is between Jeff and Yes. Oh, she's going to decide for us. James' mom is on the phone there.
Yes. My mom.
So now we got
first listener of Perf Bites is calling for feedback.
Sometimes the only listener, I think. So hi, James' mom. He'll be on the phone. I promise in just a second. Jeff Leonard and Aparo.
See, I did not hear Jeff's story because I was trying to mix that other one. So I cannot contribute to the vote. So I'm just saying I can't contribute to the vote.
I think
I did not hear Jeff's.
I'm biased. I think Jeff, the middle tier is actually they're all kind of similar puzzle type. A thing you think is the problem is not the problem, and you have to go really break it. All 3 of them are almost like puzzles.
Yeah.
In that way, they're not like some. Remember, we met Oftab. Oftab was here, who won 2 years ago. He won a pair of shoes but the story was like more like traditional load testing, bottleneck, database problem. Things you would find, or configuration issues, Apache threads, and something like that.
Yeah.
These are all like everything that we were doing was right, but each of those 3 were the thing you think it is not what it is. I think the thing you think it is not what you think it is. Right.
Does that make me Andre the Giant in this conversation?
Why? Give me an argument. I'll stay impartial.
I'm telling you, Tor Johnson.
So why would you say Jeff should be second place? And we'll give him. We'll do a pair of Perf Bite shoes.
Okay, so normally it's the consumer that's the issue.
Yes.
That is, you're waiting, and you have a direct line to the response. Here we had a broker in the middle, the enterprise services bus.
But why is that more unique to make him second place over Aparo that has the 1x1X GEF skewing the existing results monitoring? Why is Jeff's story more compelling?
I'm not saying it isn't, but why is it? Make your case.
Why do you think Jeff is...
I could go for a geographical bias. He's from North Carolina.
Well, that's very honest of you.
But
actually, really, complexity-wise, was it more or less complex? Was it...
I did not hear Aparo's full story, so I'm at a challenge in that case.
I think you're the only one who's heard both of them. Then
I've heard all 3 of them actually.
So I think this is going to have to rest squarely on your shoulders.
You want me to just pull?
You want to flip a poll?
Take the lead?
Or we give each of them one shoe.
Whoa!
How about second and third place both get Perf Bite shoes?
Whoa!
How about we do that?
One pair of low tops, one pair of high tops?
We could, yes. We could, yeah, just because one makes second place we get high tops, the other one we get normal Converse.
Yeah.
They're a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can get more letters.
Yeah.
On the heel.
On the high top. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to go with that. We're going to go with our congratulations. Second place will be Jeff Leonard.
Okay.
Third place will be Aparo's 1x1X GIF. 1x1X GIF. I like that.
All of them were good stories, though. Very good ones.
Fantastic
different.
Stories. And again, different than the other. Yeah.
And you know what's something nice about them? We weren't flooded with stories of the same old performance problems that have been going on and on and on.
The first year we did this at Perform, there was a lot of repetitive. I was once testing a thing with the thing.
People are making the exact same. Now we're getting into
it was
bizarre
a dark and
mistakes,
stormy night, and I was trapped in a data center.
Hopefully people are making less of the same mistakes. I don't think it's true. I know based on when Andy would always do that share your pure path, always over and over and over. Oh, N+1 again, N+1 on services, N+1 on this. Same problems over and over and over again. But
you should listen to News of the Dam. Same patterns.
But are we starting this? Are we breaking the pattern, or did we just get good stories? People said, "I'm going to tell them more."
I think we just got some great stories.
Great story. It also reflects the maturity of the problems and how people are attacking these problems differently.
Yeah.
Here's the new thing we're going to do after 3 years. We're going to invite all three of these guys to get on and do an interview with us. Do a Perf Bites interview and actually retell the complete story. Since it's on us, maybe we didn't capture some stories, or let's turn it into their opportunity to actually share their story.
Done.
I love that idea. All right, so not only do they get to be a guest on Perf Bites and maybe simulcast to Peer Performance, they could come on Peer Performance, maybe tell an actual story,
maybe as well,
down at the Dynatrace portion. But we'll give them the gifts, and that's our gifts. And
gifts will be the gifts.
This year, not a drone, unfortunately.
Yeah,
we didn't give a drone. That would be bad. All right, we're going to wrap it up. We'll maybe do some live stuff tonight from the party.
We'll have to see.
I want to try that. I have my. I'll show you the live setup.
Spreaker on the phone.
Spreaker on the phone with the mobile mic.
Ah.
Yeah, you can do it with an H2N into your phone on the Spreaker app, or we'll try that a little later. I think that'll be fun.
USB-C on my phone.
We'll see. But how was your Perform experience then, James? This is our third year.
It was good.
This one different?
I got to tell you, so there's a natural maturation cycle to these performance-related conferences.
Mm-hmm.
We hit, 2,000, 2,500 attendees?
I think somewhere around 2,000, they were saying.
It's pretty major.
This time. You're going to have now a conference in Europe as well, probably of similar size.
I'll say over 3,000.
It's moving from less pure engineering to there's some marketing side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I got coming from the Mercury universe. It's like, okay, it's still wild and crazy performance engineering, and I love it. It's so fun, but boy, it's got a little marketing.
But don't give them too much leeway. Don't let them take over.
I'm watching warily.
Yep.
It's like, okay, if the engineers lose control,
you'll lose the community,
and the
marketers
just take over.
Yeah.
But as long as they keep doing cool and innovative stuff, and that's what we've seen every single year, the cool and innovative keeps getting bigger and more mature, and so I'm excited. And like I said, I have my AI rule sets, and I'm waiting for the day when I can come and import my XML for my AI rule sets, and it will run my rule sets in the enterprise.
The pulley perf rules.
Yes.
Import.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
Brian, second Perform ever.
I was attendee at one of the first ones.
One of the early first ones. That's right.
Yes.
But here in the podcast.
Yes. Second Perform.
Have a good experience. Was this good?
Yeah. The only complaint I have to say is the hallway walk.
That's it. And maybe some of the breakfast food.
But overall,
lunch was good.
Listen, hot days.
I do have one complaint.
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper. There's no Dr. Pepper on the service
but that's positive feedback, not necessarily a complaint.
So
it's a recommendation for future optimization.
Impressions this year, I think the hot days were jam-packed.
It was great to have you as a puzzler.
It was great to be a puzzler. We had a really good morning session on Introduction to Dynatrace. Last year I helped out with Introduction to Atmon.
Right.
And this year, making the switch, Introduction to Dynatrace. and it was great to see so many people in there. And a lot of the people there were Appmon users, which they're starting to, within their company, make that transition, which all of us SCs, all of us old Appmon sales engineers had to make that transition too.
Yeah.
So as we're teaching this and they're asking questions, I'm seeing exactly what was going on in my mind, going on in their mind, and knowing, oh, we can help you. I've been through exactly those steps.
Right.
You're going to get there. You're going to love it. And I just even remember just being blown away during the first break on Hot Day, going into the main hall, because there was also Partner Day going on that day, and the hall was pretty much almost, I would say, a fire hazard. Not because it was full all the way down, but the whole breadth of the hallway was filled up, and you had to kind of squeeze in between people to go get a coffee. I was like, wow, this is
and this
big.
Is the exact opposite, because you have so much space, it takes 40 minutes just to walk to the next session.
Well, but that was all here today. That was the Hot Days.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
In the Hot Days, yeah, sorry.
But that's when I knew, okay, wow, this is getting much bigger. This is growing and growing, and just felt a lot more. Just felt a lot of excitement in there.
Everything I think was on par with the Cosmo. The breakfast was a little lackluster. Not good non-carb, low carb, no paleo options on the diet. But that's always just fine feedback. I agree with the Dr. Pepper. The soda didn't come out at the same time in the morning as the coffee. They put it out afterwards. It's just weird. The sequencing of the soda.
Yeah,
soda sequencing.
It's weird that they didn't put out soda in the morning, right, for breakfast?
Yeah, exactly.
Very weird.
I will say, all of the announcements...
Thank you for your support,
and we debated
gentlemen.
for weeks after last year's Perform, what do you mean AI? We're really drilling Andy. Where is the AI? Is it
is it a full
It
rules-based
was ambiguous.
pattern recognition? Where does Davis fit
all
in?
All of the forward-looking cool announcements were more pragmatic, except for the VR goggle. That's just... Thank you, Joe Hoff. You're way ahead of your time.
That's moonshot stuff.
It's but great to show the world that what you can do.
That's what's going on in there. I want to see if it's still running once we're done. The Dynatrace box over there, you can try it out.
You can try it out, so we might have to do that. So, I dig it. I love the idea, but it's clearly intangible to most of your potential target customers. They're just, we're trapped in a cube doing our work on a monitor. We're not standing up doing VR. Kudos to the early adopters.
We finally come up with a use for Google Glass, and it's a canceled product.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. So maybe Dynatrace can go buy Google Glass and just implement it that way.
There we go.
But other than that, it's been a fantastic experience. I hope the listeners at home, I think we were technically a little messed up, but that's meta. We're going to fix some of these recordings and clean them up like we do every year.
Then we'll put them back up, and you'll have another download then if you subscribe to the download. So
yeah, that'll work.
It's awesome.
More
meta. More meta.
Woohoo!
I'm so meta, I'm meta.
You're meta. All right, so maybe we'll catch you guys later listening online. Thanks for listening for a few days. If you're not a Dynatrace user, all the trial stuff, I think it is.
Just go to Dynatrace.com.
Dynatrace.com/trials.
All the trials there.
Go to the AWS App Store.
Oh, that's right. You go to the AWS App Store. Marketplace.
Yeah.
There you go. You can get everything you need.
But to sign up for the free trial, can we sign up on there? Is that
probably redirect you.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, it might redirect you.
You can drive innovation and modernization with AWS.
Yeah,
and
I mean our SaaS model resides in AWS.
Yeah,
so I'm sure you're right.
They'll fire up your trial and away you go.
So and it's beautiful when you sign up for the trial. It's like a few minutes and maybe a minute or two, and here's the login for your SaaS instance.
All right.
Anyway, so we may or may not be back on later. If we're not, thank you all for listening. On behalf of Perf
and big
Pure Performance
hug ops to all of our listeners.
And a big thanks to James.
Big hug ops.
And who are you, Mark?
I don't know.
For making this happen.
I don't know.
For allowing me to be, because of you guys, I get to be here again this year.
When are we? What do we got in the future to join us? We're going to get in the cadence of some episodes. We've got a News of the Damned. We didn't really do any News of the Damned this week.
We have Super Bowl weekend.
Maybe we do a Super Bowl broadcast.
I got to tell you, there's going to be some News of the Damn episodes coming right after the Super Bowl.
So next week,
we're going to be alive and well,
right?
And be talking about patterns. And remember, the big pattern this week is probably that left hand, right hand between marketing and operations. Not communicating. You got a big commercial coming.
Yep. Cultural clash.
Yeah, you're spending $5 million on the commercial. You don't push any of that money over to ops just to make sure everything is happy and secure.
Beautiful.
And some people watch the Super Bowl for the events. I'm going to be watching for the commercials. Well, actually, maybe not, because that's Sunday, and I think I'm going to be busy Sunday.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm
don't
not
worry
going to be
about
busy on Sunday.
But you're not out at any shows or anything happening local in Denver there? Nothing.
Nope.
Is there a Dynatrace meetup group in Denver?
Nope.
Should there be?
Nope. Because then I'd have to go to it unless it's during the day.
There you go. I'll be at TISQA in the end of February, so look for the Triangle Information Systems Quality Assurance. And then we'll be at STPCon. Will be the next live broadcast, and that'll be in Newport Beach, California, in April. I think it's April 9th or something. And Brian, if you really feel like taking a trip, just come out to Newport Beach and hang with us. We're going to be doing some live projects. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later on the Perf Bites /Pure Performance podcast.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening.
Everyone. Thanks, Mom.